Hey, I'm Kelly. If you love cars as much as I do, you're in the right place. From drifting car days to uncovering the world's most iconic rides. Gear up and subscribe to Drive with Kelly for non-stop car fun. The Toyota RAV4 is the vehicle that ignited this crossover SUV phenomenon across the globe. It remains one of the top-selling vehicles today, and for numerous valid reasons, this vehicle has outstanding fuel efficiency. It also excels in all of the categories where commuter vehicles should dominate. This vehicle established such an impressive reputation that it's nearly impossible for the rivals to overturn the RAV4. But there are certain aspects that we're not satisfied with, even in the 2026 model year. So, if you desire to discover what these shortcomings are, stick with us while we explore the 7 reasons why you should not buy the 2026 Toyota RAV4. Con number 7. No turbocharged engine. One major drawback of the 2026 Toyota RAV4 is the reality that this vehicle still doesn't provide a turbocharged power plant. So why is this a negative aspect? Well, the 2.5-liter inline-4 that is presently available with the RAV4 is excellent for fuel efficiency. It achieves records, but certain buyers seek thrills. And what's superior than a turbocharged engine? With this power plant, you receive a massive amount of torque, particularly at the lower RPM range, which will provide you the acceleration that you cannot obtain with a standard, naturally aspirated power plant. So having Toyota introduce a more robust turbocharged application will capture numerous customers who desire to acquire something more potent and thrilling. An ideal candidate for this objective will be the 2.4-liter inline-4 turbo that is available with the 2026 Toyota Tacoma and the other larger Toyota SUVs like the new Land Cruiser. For this application, Toyota can debut a slightly detuned variant that'll still substantially outperform the 2.5-liter in terms of torque distribution and responsiveness. Another approach that Toyota can execute to enhance the performance of the RAV4 is by installing a more capable electric motor on the hybrid variant. This motor, combined with a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter power plant, can provide respectable output. Still, it's up to Toyota to determine what type of power plant will be introduced to enhance its performance. The clear impression is that this vehicle requires more output, and that's a reality. Even competitors like the Mazda CX-50 and Honda CR-V now offer turbocharged options, making the RAV4 feel dated in comparison. Con number 6. Mediocre towing and payload capacity. The towing capability of the 2026 RAV4 is not one of its advantages. This SUV can exclusively tow up to 1,500 pounds, which is quite mediocre for comparison. The Jeep Cherokee has a towing capability between 2,000 and 4,500 pounds, which is quite substantial performance for an SUV in this segment and effortlessly defeats everyone available when it comes to the 2026 Toyota RAV4. You'll be capable to tow up to 3,500 pounds exclusively if you acquire the TRD Off-Road or the new Woodland Edition. Limiting the maximum towing capability to some of the most expensive trims is somewhat a disappointment in our perspective. This is because of the reality that the TRD Off-Road and Woodland variants don't provide anything revolutionary beneath the surface, except for the enhanced all-wheel drive configuration. We genuinely believe that the base trim should also receive this treatment and provide more towing capability for the customer. Vehicles nowadays are incredibly expensive, and you require to obtain the most features for your investment. Making income isn't simple and vehicle. Manufacturers should not restrict features as extras for thousands of dollars. Additional, also the payload and cargo capability of the RAV4 are quite restricted, but to be honest, we cannot anticipate more in this category. That's why there are different segments of vehicles available. If you require more payload and cargo performance, you'll absolutely desire to acquire the new Toyota Grand Highlander or 4Runner. Instead, these vehicles offer substantially better capability for serious hauling needs. Con number 5. Poor off-road performance. The provided performance of the 2026 Toyota RAV4 is not one of the finest in its segment. This is the situation because this is a compact crossover SUV. Crossover SUVs, for those who don't understand, might appear like vehicles, capable in terms of off-road responsibilities, but this is not the situation. The first aspect is that these vehicles lack proper suspension. For this objective, crossover SUVs appear more like elevated sedans rather than proper. Off-road vehicles crossovers are a combination of sedan body that positions on a higher ground clearance with the assistance of larger wheels and tires. That's it. So these vehicles are quite lacking compared to a Ford Bronco Sport or a Jeep Compass Trailhawk. Even the transfer case doesn't provide anything exceptional when it comes to confronting off-road terrain. This was not the situation with some of the earlier RAV4 vehicles back in the era of the Toyota. RAV4 was a genuinely capable off-roading vehicle, and modern RAV4 vehicles are simply lacking in this category. That's why even with the TRD Off-Road or new Woodland Edition, you shouldn't anticipate much because the exclusive aspect that makes a distinction in these variants is the enhanced all-wheel drive configuration with torque vectoring. And the all-wheel drive is not like a four-wheel drive configuration that you genuinely desire. When it comes to proper off-roading, the distinction between the two is that the all-wheel drive configuration is a configuration that activates automatically when you lose traction, while the four-wheel drive configuration is activated by the operator and provides true low-range gearing for serious terrain. Con number 4. Lower trim levels feel cheap. Another drawback and a significant aspect of dissatisfaction from 2026 RAV4 owners is the basic interior that you receive with this vehicle. The interior is the most basic that it can become. The exclusive aspect that is inferior is if you'll lack power windows and airbags. Fortunately, even the most fundamental RAV4 vehicles provide these features. Jokes aside, the interior of the 2026 RAV4 is not something that you'll be satisfied of, especially the seats that appear genuinely basic and don't provide any type of support or comfort. The cloth seats in the base LE trim are very disappointing. The cheapness is everywhere, beginning with the selection of materials that you receive. The interior is filled with rigid plastic, particularly at the lower sections like the glove box, center console, and door panels. The styling might be acceptable and contemporary with the updated 8-inch touchscreen, but generally the base. Vehicles don't appear like something that you'll genuinely appreciate much. In addition to this, the infotainment display in base trims is very compact and lacks numerous of the functionality that you receive with the premium models of the RAV4 that come with the 10.5-inch screen and premium audio system. That's why the most fundamental variant is not something that we would suggest, since this vehicle does not provide a superior experience than a Toyota from the mid-2010 seconds. One aspect that we would prefer Toyota to execute is to improve the seats they require, to design more comfortable and supportive seats. We genuinely appreciate what they executed with the new 2024 Toyota Tacoma and its interior, and we honestly anticipate that this will also arrive to other vehicles like the RAV4 in future updates. Toyota claims they've improved materials, but the difference is minimal at best. Con number 3. Noise in cabin. Many owners also documented elevated noise levels inside the cabin. The 2026 RAV4 tends to be noisier compared to the rivals. When we discuss noise, we mean road noise, wind noise, and power plant noise. So what does this indicate? This indicates that the RAV4 is not one of the finest insulated vehicles around. This is the situation because Toyota likely determined to reduce expenses on insulation materials, and this reflected in higher decibels of noise inside of the court cabin, especially on highway drives above 65 miles per hour. Considering the reality that there are continuous grievances on this concern, even into 2026, we genuinely anticipate that Toyota will eventually address the challenge and upgrade the insulation in the cabin in order for the Toyota RAV4 to be more comfortable and less distracting, while operating competitors like the Mazda CX-5 and Honda CR-V provide substantially quieter cabins at similar price points. making the RAV4's noise levels even more unacceptable. Con number 2. Stiff suspension. In addition to the noise, buyers also documented that the 2026 Toyota RAV4 has rigid suspension, meaning that it's not comfortable to operate because you can sense the impacts. And this is another disadvantage in our perspective, because this is a commuter vehicle, a vehicle that will transport you from point A to point B in comfort. And if you begin to sense every impact, operating can become a rather frustrating aspect to manage on a day-to-day basis. So we believe that Toyota should incorporate some softer suspension in the newer vehicles and make the RAV4 a more comfortable vehicle to operate. This can be accomplished simply by adding softer dampers and springs. Although it's not very complicated to modify the suspension, but why would you execute that? Since this should be accomplished by the factory, isn't that accurate? So Toyota should enhance in this category in order to not lose transactions. Softer suspension and more comfortable seats will be the essential upgrades in the entry-level vehicles. The suspension tuning feels more suitable for a sports sedan than a family crossover, and this becomes particularly noticeable on rough urban roads and pothole-filled streets. Con number 1. High price for well-equipped models. The price for the 2026 Toyota RAV4 can be quite steep, particularly nowadays when prices of vehicles are going through the ceiling. So even the base variant is very expensive and begins at $31,500, and prices can escalate up to $45,000 for the well-equipped prime plug-in hybrid vehicles, and that's more than a $13,500 distinction. But with these premium trims, you will avoid the basic entry-level LE variant. Our personal preferences are the XLE Premium, or XSE, and also the TRD Off-Road is not disappointing considering the reality that this variant will provide you a respectable off-road capability on top of that. There are numerous other features like the TRD interior accents, soft-tech seating, and numerous off-road equipment. The new Woodland Edition sits at around $42,000, which is luxury vehicle territory for what's essentially a compact crossover. When you factor in dealer markups and additional packages, you can easily approach $48,000 for a fully loaded RAV4, which is absurd considering competitors offer similar or better features for $48,000 less. The RAV4 tax is real, and you're paying premium prices for the Toyota badge, rather than premium features or experiences. If you got something out of this, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you catch all my new videos. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.